Mingla and welcome to Myanmar Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Michelle with recent news and reports from around Myanmar. Bomo and Soyana got the latest report on COVID-19 case number reached 313 with 241 recoveries. Tora Suzing and Zueman will give all the details on 2.4 million tons of rice targeted to export in 2019 to 2020 fiscal year. Bomo and Zueman have the details on YRTA places emphasis on passengers' convenience in travel. Pyodridu will give us all the details on begin resuming tourism business operations with domestic travelers. All of these reports will be coming up on Myanmar Today, but for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. The Asians and Pacific Alliance of YMCAs held its executive committee meeting on 2nd and 3rd July, and it was attended by 104 committee members. The YMCA Myanmar's president, the general secretary, the executive committee secretaries, and the youth assistant secretary also joined the online meeting from the YMCA Myanmar's head office in Yangon. The president of APAY made an opening remark at the meeting, and officials from partner organizations delivered speeches. The meeting discussed financial matters and budget, strategy programs, effects of COVID-19, and ongoing procedures of the World Alliance of YMCAs. YMCA representatives from Australia, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Hong Kong, India, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, Mongolia, Nepal, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand also participated in the meeting online from their countries. The investigation body into mining landslide in Pakan provided cash assistance to the landslide victims who were receiving treatments at the Pakan Township Hospital in Pakan, Kachin State on Saturday. The investigation body's chairman, Union Minister for Natural Resources, and the Environment Conservation are members. The Union Minister for Home Affairs, the Union Minister for Social Welfare, Relief and Resettlement, and the Kachin State Chief Minister arrived in Pakan via Mijina. The chairman and members visited the Pakan Township Hospital and encouraged 14 landslide victims who were receiving treatments at the hospital. They also provided the patient with cash assistance from the National Disaster Management Committee, the Ministry of Social Welfare, Relief and Resettlement, and the Kachin State government. Officials from Myanmar Gems Jewelry Entrepreneur Associations and Myanmar Thura Gems Company also gave the victim cash assistance. A total of 19 Myanmar seafarers who signed off their job dock in Andaman Sea near Godang Township arrived at Godang Myanmar Jetty on 3rd July evening. The local officials of jetty and health departments helped them with medical tests and other supply and put into 21-day hotel quarantine. And their swab will be sent to the National Health Laboratory of Yangon. These 19 Myanmar seafarers handed over their duties to other 18 seafarers who will join the cargo vessel of MS Raffles Ship Management Service from Singapore and anchored near water of Godang via Hong Kong. Myanmar Tanaka growers suffer as some cosmetics are being sold in the market in the name of Tanaka when they are imported from the neighboring country. The genuine Tanaka growers and producers are really in great trouble. It is unethical of those who sell their products. Many products in the name of Tanaka are imported from a neighboring country, especially from Thailand. Chairman U Jomu from Myanmar Tanaka Growers and Producer Association said they are selling the fake Tanaka in the market by adding the color and the odor of Tanaka. This has a large impact on those people who are relying on Tanaka business for their livelihoods. There are more than 300,000 acres of Tanaka plantations in some regions, such as Mongyua and Pokok regions. With the increase of the foreign mega brands in Myanmar market, the Tanaka market has declined, and local people are growing other crops such as mango, drumstick, and so on. That's all with the local news. Now we'll move on to our first report. According to the Ministry of Health and Sport, the number of the COVID-19 cases are up to 313 with 6 deaths, and 241 recoveries. The deadly disease has spread to 188 countries, killing over 525,000 people and afflicting over 11.10 million people, according to the Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Resource Center. Yangon Region has the highest number of COVID-19 cases with 222 among the regions and states, and Ganyan State is the second with 26. Let's have a report.
The numbers of the COVID-19 cases are up to 313, with 6 deaths and 241 recoveries, according to the Ministry of Health and Sports. All of the new confirmed cases are the people who had returned from foreign countries, and all those people have been admitted to the South Okalapa Women and Children Hospital. Currently, Yangon Region has the highest number of COVID-19 cases with 222, and Ganyan State is the second with 26. Dr. Tan Aisu, the Director of Health Knowledge Promotion Division from the Ministry of Health and Sports, spoke to my radio through phone interview about how to protect the COVID-19 infections from the similarity of the seasonal influenza. He said,
In
the rainy season, the dengue fever, seasonal influenza, is the most common disease. But this year, the COVID-19 infection also contains the list of the seasonal flu. All types of infections are the same as each other. So wearing masks and washing hands can protect all types of infections currently. People still need to have health knowledge that COVID-19 is not a short-term battle. It will be a kind of long-term battle that people will have to fight.
From May 16 to July 4th, a total of 127 returnees have tested positive for COVID-19, according to the Ministry of Health and Sports. Currently, Myanmar ranks 162 in the Worldometer Coronavirus Research Center. The government and the Ministry of Health and Sports still want the people to follow the guidelines. In some places, people don't even wear the masks like the infection has gone. Ukemawin Region Lotto representative from Bazonao Township spoke to my radio about his views on the COVID-19 through phone interview. He said,
We have encouraged the people about the infections. As the pharmacist said, the infections depend on the body immune system and the protection. In this period, most of the people have walked back to their related workplaces, so the protection will be the most suitable actions for us. When we look at the country situation, we haven't seen the local transmission much. We only have had 6 deaths, so we are in good condition comparing to other countries.
State Councillor Do Aung San Suu Kyi urged the local people through her Facebook account about the COVID-19. She urged the people not to be careless about the infections while the other countries giving applause to us about controlling the COVID-19. She also said to have perseverance to fight the infections. Dr. Wine, the resident from Yangon, spoke to my radio about the prevention. She said,
To prevent the infection, we must have strong immune system. So I ask the family to eat healthy food, not to go out either walking. I don't let them to go to the crowded places. I put the washing basin in front of the house since the start of the infection. I ask the customer to wash their hand before they enter the shop.
From January 31st to July 4th, the government has tested a total of 81,977 people as to the disease, according to the data from the Ministry of Health and Sports. The deadly disease has spread to 188 countries, killing over 525,000 people and afflicting over 11.1 million people, according to the Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Resource Center.
That's the report on COVID-19 case number reaches 313 with 241 recoveries. The rice export targeted for 2019 to 2020 fiscal year is 2.4 million tons, and over 2 million tons have already been exported until the data released in the middle of June. So to meet the target rice export, Myanmar Rice Federation is to export the remaining 400,000 tons of rice within the rest 3 months of the fiscal year. For that reason, some producers for rice export were released as well.
Myanmar expects to export 2.4 million tons of rice in 2019-2020 fiscal years, and over 2 million tons have already been exported until June. And 400,000 tons of rice is still left to meet the targeted rice export. According to the coordination meeting related to the rice export held under the guidance of the Ministry of Commerce on the 26th of June, Myanmar Rice Federation (MRF) is to export 150,000 tons of rice each in July and August, and 100,000 tons of rice is to be exported in September, totaling the rice export quota of 400,000 tons within the remaining 3 months of the fiscal year. The coordination meeting also decided that, starting from July, each export quota limit for companies is to be lifted, and license permit and a contract was discussed and approved. The validity of the rice export license is extended up to 60 days from the earlier term of 45 days. Moreover, as realization regarding the state's reserve rice, the rice volume for reserve will be down to 5% from 10% of total rice export, starting from the 1st of July. These actions are taken to meet the rice export target of 2.4 million tons in 2019-2020 fiscal years.
Since the WHO has announced COVID-19 as a global pandemic, the Ministry of Commerce, Myanmar Rice Federation, and UMFCCI have been working together to implement strategies for rice sector. Local consumption and market is stable. For export, we suspended in April, but when we started in May until the mid of June, we did export 150,000 to 200,000 tons of rice, which is worth about $100 million. The local market is stable and the export is going as normal, so that the rice sector has lesser impacts caused by COVID-19. Last year, we have exported 2.3 million tons, and this year, we can reach to the target rice export since over 2 million tons have already been exported until the middle of June.
Because of ensuring food security in the country, in the earlier months of the COVID-19 outbreak in Myanmar, the rice export was limited. Then the export has returned to normal in May, according to the MRF. At present, the local market constitutes over 70% of production, 20% is exported, and 10% is sold to the state. According to the new announcement, only 5% will be sold to the state. As of the 12th of June, the state has already purchased about 34,000 tons of rice from over 120 companies, and the rice has been stored at 9 warehouses in Mandalay, Yangon, and Naypyidaw.
COVID-19 ဖြစ်တော့နိုင်ငံတကာကလည်းစားနပ်ရိက္ခာဖူလုံမှုစံတွေကိုပိုဝယ်ထားကြတယ်
At the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak, foreign countries also want to buy and store more rice for the food security. During the previous months of COVID-19, we also had to make sure to have enough rice for the local consumption, and therefore we exported the limited amount. But now, it has been quite long fighting against COVID-19, and the proposal for rice exports gets back to normal. The exporters also sold the reserved rice to the state. When we had to sell at 10% of rice export volume as the reserved rice to the nation, we did not get paid just like the exported rice. As exporters, there are losses, but now, if the reserved rice sale is only 5% of the export volume, we will have lesser price loss. We mainly export to Africa and Europe, as well as in Asia. The export goes to Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia.
From October of 2019 to the 19th of June of 2020, Africa market consumes 32.22% of total export, followed by China with 27.21%, European Union market with 19.74%, and ASEAN countries with 17.37% consumption of total export. For this year, the broken rice is more exported than the previous years, and the white rice export is as normal as before, despite the challenges caused by the COVID-19 outbreak. According to MRF, 2.088 million tons of rice and broken rice has been already exported as of the 19th of June of the current fiscal year, which is worth of $621.044 million US dollars. To compare the same period of the previous fiscal year, over 368,000 tons of rice were exceeded than the export of the last year. The targeted rice export for 2019-2020 fiscal years is 2.4 million tons, and the peak recorded export was 3.6 million tons in 2017-2018 fiscal years. News reported by Dora Susan from Myanmar International Radio.
That's a report on 2.4 million tons of rice targeted to export in 2019 and 2020 fiscal year. Yangon Region Transport Authority YRTA is placing emphasis on the convenience of the passengers in the travel with necessary prior arrangements, taking possible difficulty in the travel of the passengers into considerations for the reasons that a lot of drivers from YBS company recently left work as they found difficulty in salary affected by COVID-19. It is also learned that the passengers can lodge a complaint to the complaint centers of the YRTA if they happen to crowded bus stops and there are no YBS buses running on the road during rush hours. It was reported by Pomo and Zueman.
Yangon Region Transport Authority YRTA is placing emphasis on the convenience of the passengers in the travel with necessary prior arrangements, taking possible difficulty in the travel of the passengers into consideration for the reason that a lot of drivers from a YBS company recently left work as they found difficulty in salary affected by COVID-19. It is also learned that the passengers can lodge a complaint to the complaint center of the YRTA if they happen to crowded bus stops and there are no YBS buses running on the roads during rush hours. Ula Aung, Joint Secretary of Yangon Region Transport Authority YRTA, said.
We are striving for the convenience of passengers in the travel for the time being. Inquiries about how long the passengers have to wait for YBS buses will be made. We will inform the relevant company of the moment the passengers have to wait for the coming of the YBS. We will urge the YBS companies to help provide good transport service for the convenience of the passengers. Every country is trying to figure out what they will do in the post-COVID-19 period. Even us, we're thinking a lot. The card system must be implemented to help improve YBS, and it has been already prepared. If we do it in such situation, the public may face difficulty. Our buses do not go on time, and they delay as well. For that reason, we are considering and dealing with how we overcome a delayed action. We are managing to cooperate in overcoming most of the difficulties beyond COVID-19.
With regard to the mass resignations of the drivers, the official rights of the workers are under negotiation. If the passengers come across difficulties in travel at such period, please dial phone numbers of the complaint center 0944814749, 0944814753, and 0944814754, and these phone numbers can be seen on YBS buses. Utta Denwe, member of Board of Directors of Power 11 Public Company Limited, said.
The average profit is just a little higher than the banking interest. Last month, this business received 250 to 300 passengers and earned about 55,000 jets. This amount is just the same as operation cost. All the staffs were called a meeting. If we left YBS bus line stopping at a loss, it will make the drivers work less. We're trying to meet the operation cost. We don't hope to profit from this bus line until the end of 2020 anymore. We are worried that YBS business will come to a stop. Therefore, we're going on the operation of YBS buses for ensuring that all the staffs and the drivers have always work. We have also cleaning staffs working for the respective bus lines. We explained the detailed situation to all the staffs, including cleaning servants, during the meeting. If we did just like the situation before COVID-19, this transport service will come to an end and all will get into trouble. COVID-19 always doesn't break out, and it is just a period. All agreed on our explanations and decided to continue transport service in unity, and we are keeping on running the YBS transport service.
The official figures collected by the YRTA indicated that before COVID-19, there were nearly 6,000 YBS buses. 4,500 buses of them ran a day, and the number of passengers was 1.8 to 2.4 million a day. From 10 to the end of April, the number of buses was 20,950, accounting for 22.12%, and the number of passengers was more than 2.6 million passengers, accounting for 6.04% a day. In May, the number of buses was more than 79,000, accounting for 57.16%, and the number of passengers was more than 12.2 million passengers, accounting for 18.82%. In June, the number of buses accounted for more than 79%, and the number of passengers accounted for 34.51%. Under the guidance of the YRTA, the respective bus lines companies are striving for a regular transport service operation and safe travel for the passengers at this moment.
That's a report on YRTA places emphasis on passengers' convenience in travel. As one of the recovery ways to review the tourism businesses, domestic tourism has started reoperating with some particular travel spots, including Bagan, which is one of the most popular destinations in Myanmar. As the government has still prohibited on public gathering more than 5 people, there are no crowded with travelers in Bagan. But small groups or local travelers have come and visited to Bagan starting from this month.
Tourism industry became one of the most affected businesses in the wake of COVID-19. As one of the recovery ways to revive the tourism businesses, domestic tourism had started reoperation with some particular travel spots, including Bagan, which is one of the most popular destinations in Myanmar. U Win Myit Khai, Region Luto Representative, speak to Myanmar Radio about the resuming conditions of the tourism businesses in Bagan.
As tourism sector has also been on a breakdown with all these unfortunate turns of events regarding COVID-19, the hotels and motels here in Bagan are still considering whether or not they should be reopened. Generally, I could say that local people here in Bagan have been trying as hard as they can not to see the worst case scenario. As there are certain supports around the Bagan community, most of the people are doing fine. As the government has even supported 2 times financially, there is no really serious problem as of now. For the local businesses in Bagan, as some visitors from various parts of Myanmar has been paying a visit, it is gradually recovering. Restaurants and other souvenir shops are also being fully reopened with extra cautions as the Ministry of Health and Sports gave suggestions. There will also be recovery plans that we will be carrying out after 15th of July.
Speaking to Myanmar Radio, U Tan Tate, chairman of Bagan Tourist Guide Association, said,
As the government has still prohibited on public gathering more than 5 people, there are no crowded with travelers in Bagan. But small groups of local travelers have come and visited Bagan starting from this month. As we have heard that they have to close the rooms for a week and apply with pesticides and whenever the guests are used for the stay. All the pagodas are reopening with allowed hours from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day. There are numerous pagodas with limited security guards, but travelers are the better to follow the curfew. For the whole tourism businesses, half of the operations are resuming, but for the tourist guides, not many activities till now. We're hoping that the coming travel season will serve the tourists with the best safety, especially for the health.
Riding the hot air balloon to overlook the impressive view of Bagan is very famous among international tourists. Usually, the high season for ballooning is from October to April, so fortunately, the ballooning business has not suffered the damages because of coronavirus so far. Mak Kai Winpyu is the director of Sales and Marketing Department from Oriental Ballooning. Speaking to Myanmar Radio, she said that the ballooning businesses are also going to be targeted, the domestic and Asian tourists, for coming travel season.
အခုချိန်ကတော့ normally လဲ booking ကတက်တာလေးတွေနှေးသေးတယ်ပေါ့ဒီချိန်ဆိုရင် booking တက်တဲ့အချိန်က
We targeted the tourists from Europe for the travel season of last year's. The high season for hot air ballooning is from October to April. It is a bit earlier to predict our market. Normally, the bookings are a bit cold in this month. The bookings are commonly made in August and September. We have prepared for setting up the new SOPs for this coming travel season, but we expect that the ballooning market can pick up around 50% of market of last year. We have started accepting the bookings for ballooning. If unfortunately something went wrong, the booking fees could be refunded without any cancellation fees. And we are arranging that the tourists, especially from Asia and domestic ones, will ride the ballooning at very reasonable price.
The national revenue earned over $532.231 from international tourists in the first half of 2020 fiscal year, according to the report, Economic Impact of COVID-19 on Myanmar Tourism Sector by the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism. Comparing with national revenue growth within the first half of 2019 fiscal year, about 54% drops mentioned in the report. I am Pyo Diridu. This is news reporting from Myanmar Radio.
That's a report on Bagan begins resuming tourism business operations with domestic travelers. And that's all we have for today's report, and it's time to check on some international news here on Myanmar Today. Chinese appreciate the firm support of Jordan and Saudi Arabia on issues concerning China's core interest, especially for China's principal stance and interest on internet affairs such as Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Xinjiang. Chinese State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi expressed China's appreciation during the separate phone calls with Jordanian Foreign Minister and Saudi Foreign Minister Faisal on Saturday. Wang said he will co-chair with Saudi with non-ministerial meeting of the China-Arab States Cooperation Forum on Monday. He added that Saudi Arabia is willing to cooperate closely with China under G20 framework to push for new progress in global cooperation against COVID-19. At least 166 people were killed in Ethiopia after a popular singer's death sparked violent protests which resulted in riot in country's Oromia region and capital Addis Ababa, police sources said on Sunday. The Oromia region police deputy commissioner told media on Saturday night that 156 people have died in the riot, including 11 members of security forces. Police in Addis Ababa said on Tuesday that 10 people were killed in the riot, including 2 police officers. The 34-year-old singer was shot dead in the capital, Addis Ababa, on Monday night by an unidentified gunman when he was driving. His music often focused on the rights of the country's Oromo ethnic group and became an extremely popular voice in the wave of the protest that led to the downfall of the previous prime minister in 2018. According to the media reports, the authorities have shut down the internet in part of the countries to curb the spread of the protests. 2 new locally transmitted COVID-19 cases were reported in Beijing on Saturday. The total infections has risen up to 334 since June 11th, when the first case from the Shinfari market cluster was detected. According to the Municipal Health Commission, the 2 new cases were both registered in Phong Thai district. The commission said, meanwhile, 29 asymptomatic people are currently under medical observations in the Chinese capital. And that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I'm an intern anchor Michelle. Have a good day. Until next time.